So now you've seen the plot against the president removed. You've seen Senator Mastriano being suspended. And you've seen Facebook's deal with promoting the so-called less hyper-partisan stuff, which is bullshit. If ever there was a time to do this Section 230 thing, now it's a slam dunk. There really is no argument anymore. It's gone. You know, and believe me, I was completely, I would say I was completely unconvinced 1 week ago. I mean, I didn't have a decision either way. I was just sort of monitoring it, trying to figure out if I could form a decision. But now I'd say this is as clear as it could possibly. Oh, also the links to Sidney Powell's documents, I think those were removed too. Let's talk about Facebook. We're learning that Facebook had some kind of what they called a break the glass plan, where if things were bad after the election, in other words, if society was starting to break down because of the election results, they were going to kick into play a change in the algorithm that would spike in visibility the mainstream publishers such as, and I'm not making this up, this is the actual list, such as CNN, NPR, and the New York Times. And it would de-emphasize Breitbart and some other site that I don't remember. So what would be the justification for boosting CNN, NPR, and New York Times, but de-emphasizing Breitbart? Well, the word that they've injected into this is hyper-partisan. So they've decided to label Breitbart hyper-partisan while saying that CNN, NPR, and New York Times are not. Now, is it just me, or is that hilarious? Let me just walk you through some examples. Was it Breitbart that told you the Fine People hoax? Nope. Breitbart told you that it was a hoax, showed you the transcript, did it quite a few times, actually. Joel Pollak did that a number of times. So CNN, NPR, and New York Times reported the Fine People hoax as true, which ripped the country apart and probably changed the election result. Breitbart reported it accurately, but they're being called hyper-partisan. How about the hoax that the president suggested or noodled on the idea of drinking bleach, which of course never happened, not even close? Did Breitbart report that the president thought about drinking bleach? No, they reported it as a hoax, which it was. What did CNN, NPR, and New York Times report? They reported the hoax as true. Right? Now, I don't think they all used the word bleach. CNN did. They may have said injecting disinfectants, which is the same story. They just don't use the word bleach. All right, how about, do I really need to go down the list? I don't need to go down the list anymore, right? What was the last fake story you read in Breitbart? I mean, I usually consume the news based on links that people send me. So I don't read every word of any of these publications. I read the things that people say, hey, you should look at this. But I don't think that this characterization of hyper-partisanship could hold up to even the smallest bit of scrutiny. It's not even close to being an accurate framing of reality, and it's pretty easy to prove. All you have to do is look at the hoax reporting. Who reported the most hoaxes? I don't think it's going to be close. But, I haven't looked into it, but I don't think it's close. And so if Facebook can decide that one site that reports the truth in terms of those hoaxes, that's the part I know about, and they can boost the ones that reported the lies, and still are, how do you say that Facebook is not a publisher? Because this is the very definition of a publishing decision. They've made a judgment call a wrong one, a very wrong one, but that's how judgment works. You don't get them all right. It's a judgment call on what content you should see. That is Section 230. That is a publisher. It's not even close to being a communication platform. We're not even in the same galaxy as being like the phone company. When was the last time the phone company told you couldn't make a phone call because the person you're calling was hyper-partisan? It's like, I'm sorry, we cannot connect this number. You are dialing your friend who is hyper-partisan. Let us refer you to some Democrats who are less hyper-partisan. Does the phone ever do that? I mean, I don't make many phone calls anymore because phone calls are for losers, but I feel as if that feature is not in my phone. Am I wrong about that? And isn't the whole thing about whether they're editing content? That's the whole question, right? Why are we even fucking talking about this? Why is this even a fucking question? We're way beyond the fact where you can even wonder, I wonder if they're making editorial decisions. Who is wondering that? Who is so fucking stupid that they don't see that this is 100% publishing? It's not even slightly not publishing. I have to admit, is this the first time I've talked about this topic? Maybe the first time in any detail. And the reason is, I've sort of monitored this Section 230 thing, and I thought to myself, well, this is more of a lawyer question, because as soon as you get into these gray areas, if you're not a lawyer, the gray is just gray. And even if you are a lawyer, it's probably still gray. And I thought, this isn't really the topic I can add anything to. Because, maybe it's hard to tell where do you draw that line between editorial decisions and being a good citizen, which is getting rid of stuff that could be damaging, right? I thought, it's a little unclear. It's not fucking unclear now. Did you see what they did? Twitter just suspended the website for The Plot Against the President, a documentary which is probably the most successful documentary of all of 2020. And I think they may have forwarded some of Sidney Powell's claims or something, and they got suspended. What the fuck is that? That's not protecting us. That's editorial. That's an editorial call, purely. It's not even close to not being an editorial call. All right? So let us leave behind any notion that there's some ambiguity in this decision. That ambiguity is gone. Trump tweeted that Section 230 must be immediately terminated. Let me give you some more examples of why that's true. Senator Mastriano, who organized that Gettysburg hearing on the election alleged fraud, his accounts got suspended by Twitter. A senator suspended by Twitter. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know the details, but I'm pretty sure that whatever got him suspended was an opinion. If he got suspended for an opinion, now it might have been wrong, it might have been right. But that's not the criteria, is it? It looks like Twitter has decided that they will just judge what's true and what's not. They will overrule a senator, and they will decide that you, as somebody who voted for that senator, can't fucking hear what he has to say. Twitter decided that. Twitter decided to disenfranchise you from your elected official and make sure that the most common way you could find out what he was thinking is removed from your toolbox. Temporarily in this case, but they can do it as many times as they need to. All right, how about, so now you've seen the plot against the president removed, you've seen Senator Mastriano being suspended, and you've seen Facebook's deal with promoting the so-called less hyper-partisan stuff, which is bullshit. If ever there was a time to do this Section 230 thing, now it's a slam dunk. There really is no argument anymore. It's gone. And believe me, I was completely, I would say I was completely unconvinced 1 week ago. I mean, I didn't have a decision either way. I was just sort of monitoring it, trying to figure out if I could form a decision. But now I'd say it's as clear as it could possibly. Oh, also the links to Sidney Powell's documents, I think those were removed too.